BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed, ahoy hoy. Welcome, one and all, to BRB UK episode 526. I am Dan. I am one of your hosts. Good day, good evening, good morning, good in-betwixt morning and evening, the nether regions that are 4 to 5 p.m, and everything that happens in between them. All of those times. Welcome. I'm joined as ever by Coleman.
Hi.
And a very busy and also very distracted. He is
Hello.
quite distracted because PlayStation have been tweeting things, but we're not going to talk about that just yet, Timothy, before you start. I have a public service announcement, which takes me back. I haven't done a public service announcement on a podcast for quite some time.
Is it wash your hands?
There is a mega deep cut in Dan's podcasting history there. Last week, we got very, very excited about WWE 2K22 being on PS Plus. It is on PS Plus. That is correct.
Yes.
But people who are lucky enough to have the PS5, I'm afraid it is only the PS4 version. You can still play said PS4 version on your PS5, but it is not the shiny PS5 version.
I looked into this to see if there's any form of cross-play or cross-save functionality or anything like that at all. Although you can, because it connects to the external 2K website, you can share images that you've uploaded for character creations and arenas and all that kind of stuff that you've made. But the save itself, you can't transfer that, and you can't play against other platforms, including PlayStation 4 to 5.
Oh, that's
Boo.
cool. Yeah, I don't think
That's a bit
PS
rubbish,
Plus has
mate.
been particularly good at having PS5 games and PS5 versions of things, no?
I got to the end of I think mine ran out on New Year's Eve. So I went to play a game and went, oh, I can't actually, I can't. Oh, that was it. I went to download the Final Fantasy VII Remake expansion mission thing and realized that my save was still in the cloud. I couldn't download it because my PlayStation Plus had ran out. So I re-upped, but I remembered, I thought, what have I actually spent time on playing on PlayStation Plus since I went up to the premium? And it was Stray. And apart from testing a few things, that was it. So I bumped myself back down to basic.
So that email that PlayStation sent towards the end of the year going, hey, look back on your PlayStation awesomeness for the year and PS Plus. You're like, oh, actually, I hardly used it. Shot yourself in the foot there, Sony. Well, anyway, welcome back to the fold of the not entirely cheap seats of PlayStation Plus. But Coleman, I hear you've been subjecting yourself to Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah. Christmas present I got.
And
Sonic Frontiers. It's a very enjoyable game if you like Sonic games.
right,
Fortunately, it's the Switch version,
right.
which means it's very underpowered, and it's got some. I mean, it runs well, but it's got some compromises.
Well, so I should bloody hope for 50 quid.
Yeah, it's got some compromises made. There's an over-reliance on motion blurring. There's a whole thing where the grass is rendered in like a perfect circle around Sonic, but not in the surrounding areas to that, and it kind of follows him wherever he moves.
Farts Miracle Grow.
Yeah.
That's why that's the case. He farts Miracle Grow.
And also, because the background, the kind of backdrop to what you're playing, when you're in the open world, it's kind of a big green open area, very similar to Death Stranding, and it tends to rain. Whenever it rains, it's that really bad rain like in the GTA remake, where rather than looking like raindrops, it's just like white strands. And it's really difficult to... It obscures your view as you're playing. So it's okay to play on the go, playing on the Switch in handheld, but it's good putting it on TV or on a monitor. And I found it quite difficult to play with all that blurriness to it. So yeah, I got a fair bit into it though. It is enjoyable. My Joy-Cons have a detaching problem again, so that's that's kind of hindered my problem.
As in, they keep flying off, or you can't detach them?
No, it will suddenly read as detached, and then I have to unhook them and rehook them again. This happened with a previous pair, and then I bought, actually, a present. I got a new pair, and that solved the problem for a year or so, probably more than that. And now it's doing it again. So either I need some new Joy-Cons or maybe a Switch upgrade, but I don't think that's going to happen because I haven't touched it since I've been playing so much on the Steam Deck.
Hey, massive dick. I mean, one of the things I was wondering about Sonic Frontiers is that it seems to be, I mean, I suppose arguably in a bit of a Sonic style, it seems to be a little bit hyper insofar as it throws about 15 different kinds of game at you. Like 1 minute it's open world and kind of it's a little bit kind of almost Devil May Cry in the way that you're kind of juggling enemies in combat, and then you're playing pinball inside a volcano. And, you know, I mean, it just sounds like it's a game that's designed to make me grumpy. Make me feel better about it, Coleman.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, they've called it an open zone game, but it is literally an open world game. And
Right.
But the open world is kind of a hub. It's open world in the same way as they did with the Mario Bowser's Fury. What was that, last year before? Probably year before. Where it's a smaller open world. You run around the world and you unlock power-ups and you do puzzles and stuff. But then there are sections that will put you into a virtual world, which is basically all of the different levels from previous games, be that Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant, all those kind of things. You're going to see like the greatest hits with mixed soundtracks and things from previous titles. And that's all very enjoyable. And it kind of mixes it up. Like the open world is open world, and then the virtual worlds are a mixture between the 2D and the 3D and the what they call the Sonic Rush or the Sonic Boost style, where it's behind him and use the shoulder pads to move back side to side and grind rails and all that kind of stuff. But it is enjoyable. Only kind of thing I say against it is the weird architecture of the clash between the virtual world and the open world. It's very jarring because you've got these beautiful, super bright, colorful renditions of previous games, and then you go into the open world and it's Death Stranding. It's kind of weird, semi-realistic looking open world area that looks very kind of grey and grim. So it's a weird contrast between the two. And then when you're in the open world, there's just grind rails in the sky that aren't attached to anything, and it makes no sense. It's very odd to look at, but
it
once
looks
you get
very
past all that,
sparse as well.
Silly.
Sonic Stranded.
I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think. I mean, because the point where we played it last year in the EGX demo, Tim, that is basically the opening of the game. Just changed up a little bit. That bit, it is quite sparse, but when you start progressing and it opens up and more enemies start appearing and things, that's much better. And I do like there's boss encounters of these giant kind of colossi type beings for you to fight, and it is a very fast-paced Sonic meets Shadow of the Colossus type thing where you got to work out how to climb up a boss and start attacking their head and things, and that's all really impressive. But yeah, it's a very enjoyable game, and it's, as many Sonic fans I've seen have said, it's basically made for, I mean, it's approachable for everyone, but it's made for the hardcore Sonic fan base because there's a lore of Sonic, be that Sonic comics, the Archie ones in the US, or the video game stories, and the writer behind this one has done their best to kind of incorporate a bit of everything into this. So there's references to stuff you and I wouldn't know, but mega diehard Sonic fans are going to understand. So all that stuff.
So I have a question.
Cool.
I have several more questions. I have questions.
Go.
Questions. I have them. All right. So one of the things with Sonic is it's a very fast moving game, or as previous Sonics have been. And I mean, what kind of frame rate is it chugging along on the Switches? This kind of sounds like a game that almost needs to be 60 frames a second to have that kind of fluidity with the Sonic feel.
I will look that up because I don't know what the frame rate output is on the Switch. But you can play this in 60 on the higher power consoles and higher than that on the PC, obviously. But this, for what I can tell, there's a stable frame rate unless there's too many enemies on the screen. But there's not really much case of that going around. But I haven't had a problem with frame rate or chugging or anything like that. It's just the kind of the over-reliance on motion blur. It makes it a bit difficult to kind of focus on what you're playing at times. And yeah, it's not great for the people that are impaired with travel sickness while they play certain video games. Yeah, unfortunately.
And I mean, has there been, because I've heard rumors like even like the PS5 version suffers with like kind of scenery popping quite badly. I mean, is that been noticeable on the Switch, or
all versions have that? I've noticed, but If that's something that really bugs you, then it's going to bug you. But I don't think it's a big problem, especially when you look at the likes of like the Pokemon game that came out last year. That's really bad. It's not that level of bad, but there is scenery popping. There are objects in the background that are just going to suddenly appear in front of you.
It seems to be high time for a Switch upgrade, though, and that seems to be one of the games that's showing
definitely.
it off. There was an email that went out from Nintendo this week that literally said, "Do you remember Mario Odyssey? Have you finished playing that game?" I'm like, how desperate are you,
amazing.
Nintendo? Like, what's going on?
Wow. I mean, God bless them for getting it running on the Switch. And I mean, I think it's probably the massive install base which is still drawing devs to it. But wow, I mean, it is quite an incredible feat. And I don't know if you've ever watched any of the Digital Foundry videos about how the heck have they got stuff to run on the Switch. There's been some quite incredible technical jiggery-pokery to get things like Doom running on
Mortal
the
Kombat
Switch.
11.
I mean, some truly incredible technical work's been done, but I think it is starting to show its age a fair bit. And when did the Switch come out? 2017?
I was going to ask that as well, yeah.
I think it's 2017. I think it's the year I moved into Slough.
I remember it was October. I can't remember the year. No, wait, the announcement was October.
No, it was in March.
It came out
Yeah,
in March,
it was.
yeah. Sorry, no, I was listening to a thing earlier and they were trying to work out when it was announced. And I was like, October. I remember because it was my last day of my old job.
So there we go. I don't know when the heck we're going to see it. I don't think we're going to see a new Switch this year. Maybe next.
I think they'll be leaving it too late if they don't announce it this year. But
have you met Nintendo?
3rd of March 2017 is when it came out, apparently.
I mean, in an ideal world, they would do one at the end of the year in time for Christmas. The likeliness is, though, they'll follow the previous model where if they are to bring a new one out, I mean, if they are to announce a new one this year, it will be towards the end of the year and then bring it out early year because they had such massive sales with the Switch on day one. So it makes sense to just follow what they did before.
Yeah, I'd heard rumors, though, that they pushed plans back a little bit just to let the kind of the issues with the supply chain work themselves through due to the pandemic and that massive... I think there was a big fire in a semiconductor plant or something which like wiped out the world's supply of microprocessors and other stuff. So
once again, something that involves Animal Crossing died in a fire, much like John Brady's previous DS.
Wow. Tom Nook's like, oh, you haven't paid your mortgage bill, have you? Wouldn't it be a terrible shame if all of this set on fire?
Do you not remember Brady's Animal Crossing 3DS died in a fire?
Yeah.
Sent it for repair and then it burnt down.
Cursed 3DS.
Yeah, fun times. Sonic. I need to try it on a different platform. But if all you have is a Switch, it's totally serviceable.
Well, what you could do if you wanted to compare the power of your dick against the power of your Switch, you could always get it on Steam.
I was looking at this. It's not recommended to play on the Steam Deck. And then I saw a video that was playing really well on the Steam Deck. And then later on it was Wolf Den, and Bob goes, because he literally goes, oh, you can play the game on the desktop and then start playing it on your Steam Deck instantly. And then about halfway through the video said about it being a remote version that he was playing. I was like, well, that's not taking it on the go. That's just you sitting on the sofa a little bit from your computer and playing it. So unfortunately, I'd like to play it on Steam Deck, but it's apparently doesn't run very well on Steam Deck.
Portable dreams have been dashed.
A Sonic dash, like a dash move.
I
like
have
a ring
another
dash.
question.
Yeah.
Can you run so fast that you can get in ahead of the scenery drawing itself in?
I don't think so.
Because then, if that was the case, they could try and advertise it as a feature.
Yeah, that would actually be quite amusing.
There used to be a thing with the old Sonic games. If you were playing like Chemical Plant Zone on 2, and then you went through a Sonic speed and hit a booster and went through all these different loops and stuff, there would be a point where Sonic just went off the screen and it took a minute to catch up. I remember that stuff. It looked cool.
Well, that's your homework, Coleman, for this week, is to try and break Sonic Frontiers if you can. If you'd be so kind to do that.
Sounds
that'd be
fairly
lovely.
broken already.
I want you to run
Switch,
really, really fast. Really, really fast and try and fall through the world because it hasn't been built yet.
I would say I was trying to break Gotham Knights, but I think Warner Brothers did that already.
Oh snap, son.
Some terrible
snap.
optimization.
Shots have been fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The only other thing I was going to say, I'm good because Tim, I know you got stuff to talk about, and a lot of it's more newsworthy or more up to date. So I was just the only thing I've been playing a little bit of an indie game, but I'm going to save that till next week because I know Tim's got.
But we don't want to give you that.
But I also finally finished Horizon Forbidden West, just hopefully in time for the DLC, which is fairly soon. I think the DLC is coming. Isn't it?
Yeah, I saw they announced it not long ago, so I'm not sure. But I need to get through that story myself. I think
it's
worth persevering with.
The first game, yeah, it does get better. It is worth sticking with, but it can fit. It did feel more like a slog than the first game, and I think because like a lot of what made the first game interesting was all the how did this kind of ruined world filled with machines come to be. And obviously at the end of the first game, they kind of reveal what the deal is. So there isn't quite that same sense of mystery about it, which is, I think, takes away from the experience a bit, but it's still a perfectly good game.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did you find Aloy at all more annoying in the second game than in the first game?
Yes, very much so.
Oh.
She's got I know I mentioned it before, but she's got a very twitchy head,
and
I didn't
the
motion capture doesn't quite make the eyes follow. The characters don't always look in the right direction in the cutscenes, which clearly have been mocapped. But yeah, I found it a little bit. She needs to wind her neck in a bit. Sometimes I thought.
Yeah, because in the first game, it's everyone kind of they fear these machines, and some of them praise them as gods, and they all have their different societies around them and stuff, and she kind of follows that at the start of the first game. And then when she finds out the truth behind everything, there's still people she encounters and kind of goes along with it. But when you get to the second one, she's just out of patience with them completely, and she's like, no, they're just machines created by people.
Yeah, I mean, she's got she definitely seems more smug than in the first game. And that does have an air of superiority. It's like, oh, you absolute savages. You savages. It's just a glorified fridge that you're worshipping. What are you doing? Oh, by the way, it might try and eat your face. I don't know why, but it will. Yeah, I won't say too much because I'll run the risk of spoiling it. But yeah, I'm glad I'm not the owner because I just thought I was being a bit just old and grumpy. I mean, the two are not mutually exclusive, but yeah. But I definitely found a bit more annoying.
More Lance Reddick though. That's always good.
Well, there's quite a lot of Lance Reddick at the beginning, and there's not a lot of a Lance Reddick until more towards the end.
Yeah, he does disappear.
And I promise I hear his voice and I think Commander Zavala, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why are you being mean to me? I turned in all the bounties you wanted this week, you baldy freak. What are you doing?
We watched John Wick for the first time last weekend. When he popped up, I was like, oh, Lance Reddick. And then he started talking with that accent. Oh.
Yeah. So there we go. But anyway, Tim, look, you've got lots of things you want to be very rabid about. So
yes.
Suppose we better let you.
Well, for those watching the video version,
I do have. By the way, I do have the goat ready just in case.
Good.
All right.
For those watching the video version, you might be able to see lurking behind me, is Return of an Old Friend. I dusted off my PSVR this week, slightly in anticipation of getting more excited. I've been following a bit more PSVR news. Shout out to PSVR Without Parole, who are doing very good coverage of PSVR throughout the life of PSVR 1 and in the run-up to PSVR 2.
Good job bearing in mind their name.
Yes, exactly. I dusted off my PSVR and jumped into a few games. I was slightly limited with my choice of games because I've only just charged up my Move controllers and they weren't charged when I was diving into a few things. So I kind of went on a grand tour of things that don't have Move controller support that you have to play on Move controllers. So that was generally Tetris connected, Tetris Effect connected rather, which I started with, and then dived into a bit of Star Wars Squadrons, which I really enjoyed. That's still a really good game, and just jumped around on a few things here and there. I was a bit disappointed that I didn't realise that the version of the Persistence that they gave away recently on PlayStation Plus, which was a PS5 version, and I was quite keen to check out a PS5 version or something. But it's only the flat screen version of the game. Bit disappointing. Still played through the early part of that where they
classic Sony.
Yeah, where they've introduced a load of stuff. Bit surprised just before the show, and as Dan alluded to, I was actually reading up on some of the stuff because they've just announced the full PSVR 2 lineup. And I was a bit surprised at the persistence.
Launch window.
Yeah, launch window lineup.
Launch window.
And I was a bit surprised that the persistence wasn't one of the games in that lineup. I thought it was going to be. On better news, they did announce that, as I predicted, that GT7 is the full game. Slightly predicted, slightly hoped that it was going to be the full game. The only thing that's not supported is split screen mode, which I was kind of
why have they cancelled that for a VR headset?
Exactly.
The humanity.
But the fact that the full online version works and everything else, I think that's really good news for PSVR 2 owners or prospective PSVR 2 owners. So that's good news. They also announced a load of other games, and it's kind of on an ad hoc basis, as some of the games, whether you own them on PSVR, whether you have to have a paid upgrade. Tetris Effect Connected, as I mentioned, was one of the ones that has a paid upgrade. And Res Infinite is a paid upgrade. Yep.
So is PSVR 2... I still get confused by this.
Right.
So let's say you own a bunch of games on PSVR 1. First PSVR.
Mm-hmm.
Can you still play them on PSVR 2?
No.
No.
Well,
that is come on.
But there are completely different controllers, so you need to develop that. There is some investment. They have announced
But like with Tetris Connected, which I'm still bemused by the fact that why you would need Tetris in VR, but that's a rant
it's
for another time.
It's great in VR, but anyway.
That as you said, that's what you said. Doesn't need move controllers. You're just playing on a DualShock or a DualSense. There is no good reason for that not to work on the PSVR 2.
It's because the reason given is the PSVR versions of VR games that are available on other platforms, they're not ports, they are completely recreated for PlayStation VR, because it is a different piece of kit. It's only got a front-facing view to it. It's only got the move control, like the stuff that's involved in creating it for the PSVR. It's completely different to the other headsets. Whereas the PlayStation VR 2, it's meant to be more like, say, your Vives, your Oculus Rift, whatever you call them now, the different VR headsets out there. So
I understand it's got like inside-out tracking rather than requiring an external camera, which then tells it where it is. I get that, exactly. But you can still use, the Oculus, the early versions of the Oculus use outside-in tracking, which is with a camera. Yet you can still play those titles with inside-out tracking on a Quest 2, for example. So I am calling weak sauce on that. Weak sauce.
I think it would be nicer if a lot more games did work. I'm surprised there aren't more games that have been announced for PSVR 2 versions. I think where the developers are putting in time to convert them to PSVR 2 and adding extra features, I don't mind. Like you say, I'm a bit confused on Tetris Effect Connected because it does just use the controller. That's a bit weird. They have announced that is a $9.99 in dollars or euros. They haven't announced the British price. I expect it to be £9.99.
15 quid.
Which is a bit on the pricey side. Like, I think if it was nearer to a $5, I'd be like, yeah, okay, fine. But on a tenner, you're getting into the price of a possible game there type of thing. A smaller indie game perhaps, but still. It does seem to be entirely up to the developers whether they charge a fee or not. But as I said, if they're putting some more development time into that, I don't mind as much. I see me actually paying for Tetris Effect Connected because it's one game that I really like in VR, and I'd like to see what the differences are. But yeah, I'll report back and see if that is worthy of that $10 upgrade. They announced a few other games. Pavlov VR, which is one of the ones that looks visually impressive, is apparently a game that's already possibly on Quest. I don't know what other PC VR versions it's on. I imagine it's on Quest, but that looks quite good. That's a kind of military shooter type thing with various different modes. There's kind of zombie mode with 4 versus waves of zombies. And so there's some online modes and stuff to that. There's a weird sounding like a hide and seek type thing and a weird murder mystery mode as well, which I don't quite understand. But that's piqued my interest. They announced that Kayak VR.
If you ring a bell, do you get food?
Possibly. Hopefully.
In Pavlov, if you ring a bell, do you get food?
Pavlov response.
If it doesn't have that, I will be very upset.
But that looks like graphically impressive. There's a few there's the other one which doesn't seem to be in the launch lineup, but they announced previously something Sierra that looks interesting and along those sorts of lines of a military shooter as well. And there's Firewall Ultra, which is the upgrade to the previous Firewall. But see, that's doing things a bit differently, and that I almost respect a bit more. That's providing an upgraded version of the previous game with more levels, with more characters that you can take control of, operators, I think they call them, and various different extra additions. I almost prefer that, like doing a 1.5 version and providing extra content.
Yeah.
That feels a bit better to me. I'm hoping that Tetris Effect Connected might do something similar, but they haven't really announced exactly what that comes with yet. And yeah, there's a bunch of other games there. Song in the Smoke Rekindled, which looks interesting, and a few other things. There's a few things that are conspicuous by their absence. I was expecting that we won't get a version of Iron Man VR, which is a shame because that was originally a platform exclusive to PSVR, has since come to other things. I think because Oculus purchased it. I say Oculus still, we mean Meta, but Meta means nothing, so I still say Oculus because that makes more sense.
Also, yeah, after you finish the tutorial of that game, it becomes a bit rubbish. So it's a shame you don't get to port that rubbishness over into another generation.
I quite like that, and I think it would be even better with the new controllers, so it's a shame if we don't get that. There's a few other games. Obviously, Everyone's been talking about Half-Life Alyx. I can't see that ever appearing on the platform. I will be pleasantly surprised if I am wrong on that one. But I can't see Valve going, yeah, the thing that helps sell our platform we'll make available on Sony's platform. Maybe.
Well, especially because isn't there a new HTC Vive headset incoming as well?
A more,
so they would have
more
even
budget
less
version,
reason.
In even less reason to do it.
Yeah,
the only
so
thing
no good reason to do that.
The only thing that might make it more likely, there was some rumors this week, and it's unconfirmed rumors, I will say, but rumors this week that the PSVR 2 might eventually get PC support of some description, and people saying that makes a bit more sense with PlayStation putting more of their stuff on PC. And I could see Half-Life Alyx being more likely if that does become the case. But again, I don't know if that's people putting two and two together and getting six kind of thing. You know,
with Steam VR, I mean, with Steam VR, just as long as there is this kind of essentially the plugins, the wrong word, but like for example, you can play Steam VR titles using an Oculus Rift if you're tethered to the PC.
Right.
So presumably something similar, just as long as there's kind of the compatibility layer, you would be able, presumably, to pay whatever you want. How happy Sony would be with that, I don't entirely know.
Yeah.
Just to add to that as well, don't forget that, if you remember in the pre-launch to PlayStation VR, that was also rumored to be playable on PC. So I think that might just be a case of people kind of trying to wish it into existence.
Yeah, again, I'll be pleasantly surprised, but that doesn't bother me too much because I'm going to just be a console gamer. I don't think. I mean, I guess I could connect it to my Mac rather than my PC, but I don't even know if that would be possible, even if they do bring that on PC. So I don't know if that's the case.
You have enough trouble plugging stuff into your computer already, Matt. I wouldn't risk it if I were you.
There's a few games that I said are conspicuous by their absence. There's a few things that I expect won't come. I mentioned Star Wars Squadrons, Rogue Squadrons, I think it is, or is it Star Wars Squadrons? I think it's just Squadrons. But yeah, that's one that I really like and love as a game. But I think EA Motive, I'm not even sure if they exist anymore, and I think EA stopped supporting it. So I don't see that coming to PSVR 2, unfortunately. And there might be a few other games that don't make it, but I'll be surprised if we don't have a few more games, maybe not in the launch window, and that's why they haven't announced them, but I'll be surprised if there aren't more PSVR 1 games that get PSVR 2 ports eventually at some point, even if they are paid upgrades. Developers might be waiting to see how people take to the paid upgrades that they're already coming out and then see if it's worth them doing. So, yeah, we'll have to see. But, yeah, as I said, I've been getting more excited for PSVR 2, so
Yeah,
it was nice to dust off the actual PSVR one.
There is some really cool tech underlying the PSVR 2 as well, and that's almost what I'm a bit more interested. I'm not going to buy a PSVR 2 on day one. I just simply don't have a room that's big enough in my house to make the best use of VR, even when sitting down. The thing I'm really interested about is the foveated rendering.
Yes.
Which is a really cool bit of tech and just mirrors how your eyes work, because the kind of rods and cones in your eyes are in a really high density.
Yeah.
Just where kind of obviously where the light focuses on your retina. And actually, the effective resolution of your eyes elsewhere is relatively poor.
Yeah,
and I just think it's a really incredible bit of tech that they're tracking where your eyes are looking and doing the maths to work out this is the bit of the viewport you are looking at, and only render that in the highest fidelity.
Yeah,
that is a really clever bit. That is a really clever trick, and I think is gonna get over the issues that consoles have had in the past of being relatively underpowered compared to the PC, especially when they're pushing two lots of high density displays, which is what there is in the PSVR 2. I think it's like 2000 by 2000 OLED displays, so it's got a lot of pixels to push.
Yeah, well, Fast Travel Games had an open event over in Sweden where they invited a load of gamers to come and try out some of their stuff, and I don't think we've seen the full reports because there was an unannounced game that they haven't talked about yet. I don't think that's been talked about yet, but people were a load of other people getting more hands-on time with the PSVR 2 or getting their first hands-on with the PSVR 2. So there's been a few more reports about that, and then talking about the games that they have already spoken about from Fast Travel Games, who've got like a lineup of quite good PSVR 1 games. And so, that's quite exciting, and seeing the kind of feedback from that, and people just talking about the enhanced graphical fidelity. Also, one of the launch lineup games they talked about is a game called, I think I'm getting the title right, Fantasia 2020X, which is a sequel to a long dormant game type thing, but that's where you're like letting off fireworks and groups of fireworks in a kind of puzzle like game, but that is entirely done controlling your eyes, which I think is quite interesting. And so that's one that I might actually put on the list of games I pick up in the launch window as well, basically. But yeah, it's exciting times for PSVR 2, so I'm ramping up to getting excited about that. So yeah,
and remind me when that's hitting store shelves.
It is mid to late February. I think it's 20 something, but I can't remember exactly when.
And it will cost you all of the money.
200 quid. No, 500 quid, sorry.
Yes.
200 quid's the overpriced controller.
Yeah.
They haven't announced the controller price separately. You can't seem to buy the controllers individually at the moment, so you can only buy them as part of the pack.
Oh, you mean the PSVR controllers?
Yeah.
No, he's talking... Dan's talking about the their version of the Pro controller.
Edge.
That's it, the Edge.
Oh, right, yeah. Yes, that's coming soon as well.
£209 for a controller.
Oof.
But it's got interchangeable stick modules, Tim, which you'll need to pay an extra bit of money for. So that's what. So Tim is looking forward to the next generation of things to put on his face. But chaps, bad news, and we're going to
put
say
chaps on your
the
face.
News. You can put chaps on your face.
No, they go over your jeans.
Your legs, Dan. They look ridiculous on your head.
No, but they could keep if you wanted to put a compress on your eyes.
What's next? Spurs on your ears
to keep them weighed down. If you rather than relying on good old gravity to keep those slices of cucumber in place as you enjoy a relaxing day in the spa, you could just take your chaps along with you and put them on your face.
You're a badly dressed cowboy, Dan.
I've never pretended to be a cowboy.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I'd be a very good cowboy.
No?
I don't.
More of a
I've
cowgirl?
never had the desire to be a cowboy. A cow person.
That's
any
just the way
any
he
of
writes.
the above. Oh, how did this go so wrong? Anyway, chaps. Chaps on your face.
Chaps on your face.
We need a moment of silence and chaps on your face. I'm really, are you impressed, Com, that I'm so aware and scared of the new YouTube content banner matron that I didn't take that in the direction which I think you're expecting me to take the phrase chaps on your face.
That's fair enough.
Good.
Take that, YouTube overlords. I'm not going to feed you the drivel that I usually speak. But we do need a moment of silence and of reverent respect because Stadia is now dead.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Stadia.
Do we cheer?
I don't want to kind of take pleasure in the downfall of it. I think that feels a bit a bit mean.
It's Google.
I mean,
I think they can afford it. I think they can take the loss.
I mean, they can afford it.
How about this? We'll give them a 10-gun salute. How about that? You ready?
I'll give them a 1 goat salute.
Okay.
Rest in peace, Stadia.
There we go. I didn't have a 10-gun
yeah, but
salute.
I mean, to be fair, the thing that probably Stadia has done best is show other services how to properly shut down a service, because it has done it very well. And
They've successfully successfully done most of the marketing for Xbox Game Pass by going.
I know, right? It's good, isn't it?
This is how you don't do it.
But if you have bought a Stadia, you should have got your money back. But if you were sent a Stadia, like many people were, I think if you're an EE or a BT customer, I got sent one. And now that I can no longer do the Stadia on my Stadia, I'm looking for other things to do with it. And thankfully, they finally delivered yesterday, I think, or might have even been one day, but might have been the 17th, the day before it shut down, the ability to finally turn your Stadia controller into a Bluetooth LE controller. So it's now compatible with most things that can work a Bluetooth controller. Your mileage may vary. It will work on most Android devices. It will work on most iPhones and iPads, but it will not work and does not work with an Apple TV, for example, which is
should be
a bit
fine
surprising.
With my laptop, I reckon.
Yeah, it
Who
should be
really
fine.
has an Apple TV anyway?
Yeah, well, there's some good stuff coming there. Apple TV Plus has got some good shows on it. Severance
fine.
is amazing.
The service is fine, but it's on a TV these days. You don't need a separate device for it, no?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
very true. But anyway,
Ted Lasso.
So if you go to stadia.google.com/controller, using your Chrome-based web browser, which
I'll put a link in the show notes.
One. Yeah, click on the link in the show notes. All you need is, I found the trickiest thing was waiting for my Stadia controller to charge, because it had been so long since I'd used it. It didn't have enough battery in it for it to be safely done to the satisfaction of Google servers. But it's really simple. Just plug in using a USB-C data cable. There's another rant. Make sure it has to be data, can't be charge only. Has to be data. Plug it in.
How do you
do a
the
couple
difference,
of clicks.
Dan?
Next thing you know, let's see if it
controller.
works. Or go into device manager and see if it's picked up the device. If it's a charge only, there won't be a data connection, so it won't recognize that you've plugged a device in. Really simple. I mean, the only thing it does do is it permanently kills the Wi-Fi functionality of it.
No! How will I play State? Oh no! Wait, hold on.
Oh wait a minute. Yeah, so that's all right. And yeah, I mean, I've been very impressed with it, and I think you're able to do that until 31st of January next year, I believe, is the cutoff date. So it costs you nothing. It's really quick, really easy, and you get a very nicely made Bluetooth controller out of it, potentially for free. So and better than them all finding their way into landfill. So
I might do that.
It's good
job,
because
Google.
Me and you have said many times on the show, Dan, that although the Stadia was a letdown, the controller is great, and we wish we could use it. And I know it had been done through some third parties and mucking around with it. You could unlock that, but now to have an official solution that's a lot easier to do, that is great. I'm glad I didn't chuck away my controller.
Yeah. So well, and at the end of the day, it's something. I mean, you've either got, like I said, you've either got it for free or Google's giving you money back. So it is literally a free, pretty decent Bluetooth controller. So good job, Google.
Just while we're on the subject, he says while he's quickly running through his thing, there we go. There is a YouTube channel called Re-Res. They've previously made videos on this. They do things called Worst Game Ever, or It's Just Bad, I think it's called. And they did a whole thing on the launch of the Stadia. Then they did one a couple of years in to sort of go, this is what's been improved. This is what features are still missing. And now they've done one on the death of the Google Stadia. Very worth watching if you've not seen it. But yeah, Google Stadia, we hardly knew ye.
Well, poor old Phil Harrison's back down the job centre, isn't he?
I forgot about that.
He was gone a while ago. There was just going back to that video as well, there was an interesting thing that was covered on there because they tried to do sort of check how the service was. And they talk about as well, like how a lot of their servers, while it was still in progress, got shifted onto other projects and was kind of taking away power from the Stadia, but the Stadia service. But they're talking about how a lot of the games were shut down before the shutdown date. So, for instance, Destiny 2, they tried to play that 3 days before the shutdown, and they just couldn't connect to it. It was stuck in loading.
Yeah, it was taken offline.
Yeah, when they eventually did, it played really badly, and then the next day they just completely took it down. So, yeah, and there was things as well. If you wanted to go in for like one final hurrah, and you had been a premium subscriber, and you got all the free games that you could play with, and then had deactivated your subscription, if you wanted to go reactivate it and play those, no way of doing it absolutely whatsoever. I don't know why you would need to, other than doing YouTube videos and wanted some kind of B-roll footage in the background or whatever, example footage of how badly it ran. But yeah, there was a lot of issue with how that service closed down, which is just kind of par for the course when you look at how it started and how it was ran, and a lot of bad decisions with that. It's a shame because I had real high hopes for Stadia, even though when it launched the way it did, I was kind of quietly optimistic towards how it would go, but it's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, I think where as we kind of all slightly predicted, where it's going to majorly end up kind of game streaming is going to be as an adjunct to, say, your Xbox Ultimate or your PS Plus membership, and just an extra way to access the content that you can't access because you're not in front of your Xbox, your PC, or your PlayStation. So, yeah, there we go.
In the same vein, the Xbox Game Pass streaming, that started coming to Samsung TVs from 2021, I think it was, or 2021. So that gutted. So that randomly popped up. That randomly popped up on my TV on the weekend, so I gave it a quick try. It installed very quickly, ran really nicely and stuff. Even lets you connect a PlayStation controller to your TV, which was pretty cool.
That's quite cool.
My internet running at 75 meg, I think I had at the time, wasn't enough for it to have a decent clear picture playing that game.
Really?
Yeah, and I was playing Injustice as well, so I was like, "Whoa, this is hard to play with no reactions."
Ooh, and that seems really, because 75 meg should be enough for a 4K stream, really.
So I'm gonna at some point I'm gonna sit down and try hotspot it to my mobile and do it on 5.
That's not going
5G.
to help your latency, mate. That's going to be
it's going to be even worse. No.
Well, because I've used my hotspot on my phone to run. I've used the 5G on my phone to play Game Pass on the go before, and I've actually used it quite a bit to hotspot my Steam Deck to remote my PlayStation 5 and to do Game Pass streaming much nicer than my work Wi-Fi. So I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to attach that to the TV and see if it runs.
Probably slightly better for your promotion prospects as well, not using company Wi-Fi.
In my lunch break.
All right, just saying.
I get lunch breaks sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Aren't you?
Sometimes I have lunch.
Aren't you doing well for yourself? I remember lunch breaks.
Sometimes I have lunch. I get to eat.
I know.
Sometimes I don't spend it on the TFL.
God damn it.
6% increase.
6%?
6%.
Sod that. Anyway, before we get into a rant about that, there was as
old man British problems.
As one live service wheezes to a close, sounds like there might be another live service on the way.
No.
Yeah.
No.
First, you're not impressed with your one of your picks with Forspoken, which again I'm optimistic towards.
Are you? It looks like it's going to be garbage of the highest order.
I've put my pre-order in. I'm going to get a
Have you?
copy. Yeah. I'm looking forward to
When's it out?
when we're recording 5
in a couple of days.
Yeah, 24th.
Next Tuesday.
Anyway, the reason I want to talk about Suicide Squad is because recently I've been talking about Gotham Knights, and after playing some more, which, by the way, I've got it running on the laptop much nicer, streamed it to the Steam Deck. That's how I've been playing it. I have got a theory regarding Gotham Knights that is going to impact Suicide Squad, and that is there was a genuine want from Montreal to go, hey, we want to make a big focused Batman game that is like the successor to Arkham. And that's what they worked on. And then at some point we're told, make a live service game that we can sell microtransactions on. And that's what they did. And then with the fallout of, especially Marvel Avengers, they quickly turned that around and tried to make it all inclusive in the game. And there's this weird hodgepodge mess and very bad optimization that I'm going to keep saying till they finally fix it. I think there was an intention to make a game that has been muddied with because of Warner Brothers, and Suicide Squad, made by Rocksteady, one of the kings of AAA single player narratives based off a DC property. They get to make a new title that has multiplayer in it. Okay, fine. Red flag maybe, but let's see how they go. Based on, still in the same universe as Arkham, still with, Kevin Conroy coming back as Batman, in peace. And, still hopeful stuff about it. Cool intro video and all that kind of stuff we've seen. Still, very funny, new characters and takes and stuff. Okay, we'll need to give this a go. There was a leak image on 4chan, which here's 4chan. You don't know, it might be a doctored image or whatever. But it shows a menu screen over the gameplay, and there is a kind of, it's characters connecting, waiting for character or available to connect because it's multiplayer. But also along in the menu on the top of the screen, there is a section that says
Battle Pass.
Battle Pass.
There
That's
we go.
Not good. That implies live service game. And I've got nothing wrong with a live service game. I put too much time into the original Destiny, and then when Destiny 2 first launched,
you can never put too much time into Destiny. Wash your dirty mouth out.
Okay, for me, I put a lot of time into Destiny.
Out, you filthy man.
I've played a ridiculous amount of GTA Online. I used to play a lot of MMOs, and even Marvel's Avengers is one of my most played. I think it's my most played game on the PlayStation 4. Yeah, I love that game. Me and Me. I love that game.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't gone back for a little while. I don't want another live service game because I want to play. I want a story. I want to go through the story. I don't want to come back in and grind and look for power. I don't like it.
Oh dear.
They have said it's just
still
cosmetics.
Oh dear, Coleman.
Well, they have seemed to comment on it and say it's cosmetics, which gives it a bit more credence that it's actually true, for one, but also it kind of offsets my anger about it. I am actually quite looking forward to this game. I quite liked, especially the last James Gunn Suicide movie. I thought that was pretty good. I have a lot of love for Rocksteady in their things. That's another VR game I'd like to see. I'd like to see an update to Batman VR possibly, but I doubt we're going to get to see that, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I think, Rocksteady make a very good video game. I trust them to do this well and to implement it to a degree that isn't too egregious. Although, as you say, Warner Brothers being the overarching sort of villain behind the scenes might make that more difficult for them to implement in a way that won't annoy both you and I. But we shall see. I will reserve judgment until we actually see the final product, basically, on that one, I think.
I think there's a lot of stuff going on with Warner Brothers that is impacting decisions since the merger with Discover and the David Zaslav and all that kind of. Look into the whole Batgirl movie cancellation thing, and you can kind of get an idea of why they might be trying to nickel and dime the gamers in these types of platforms. You know how media based on video games is getting much better these days.
I've heard.
Would you like some more?
Yes.
Please. Is this by any chance potentially the only way Ubisoft might make any money this year?
Yeah, because they've been cancelling their games.
Right.
This is. I think of this less Ubisoft and more Amazon kind of Tom Clancy-ness, I think. Because there is a Rainbow Six movie in the works, according to the Hollywood Reporter, from John Wick's director, Chad Seletsky. And it is going to star...
Only someone called Chad would direct her. would direct a Rainbow Six movie, to be fair.
And John Wick.
Yeah. Actually, it's a very, very good point. That is an excellent point.
Yeah. Good film. That's also going to star Michael B. Jordan. And the reason I say think more Amazon-y type Tom Clancy stuff is because it's a follow-on from Michael B. Jordan's character in the... is it called The Operative?
Might be.
No, sorry.
No, Without Remorse was the
Without
series,
Remorse.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Without Remorse. Right.
Which I think isn't his character. I haven't seen the Amazon series yet, but isn't his character introduced in the John Krasinski show thing, and then he got his own show, and now he gets a movie, but the movie is Rainbow Six.
Right. That's all a bit confusing.
Okay. I'm just
I'll
going to
believe
agree
you.
with all of that.
Yeah, I
Yes.
don't know that is all.
Yeah, why not? Sure.
I might be wrong. If someone has seen, I can't even remember. Oh, Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan. That's the
Yes.
other name of the TV show, the
Yeah.
Krasinski one. Yes. If anyone's watched those, then let me know if I'm
seen
right
the Jack
there.
Ryan
But
show. It's
yeah.
actually very good, and he's good in it. Having
The
seen
Jack
him
Ryan
in,
show.
in
Hi,
Sounds like a
I'm
little-
Jack Ryan.
Hi,
This is
I'm
my
Jack
show.
Ryan.
Today on Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan.
Don't make
What
a sound
will
or the
people
monsters
eat?
will get you.
Considering he'd only been in comedy roles before, like I think the first series particularly was very good, and the second series was pretty good. I haven't seen the third one yet. I think is where that's at basically. But yeah,
Is there a third one?
I
I've got to
think
catch
so.
up. Rainbow Six. There's a movie in
Yes.
the works. Be excited. The other one, more of a rumor. This is Dead Space.
Right.
You might remember rumblings a little while ago. John Carpenter, him who made such films as Halloween and The Thing and many, many horror films, some good, some bad. And he was interviewed, I think this was during Halloween Kills, which he was involved in
Right.
the score of. Then someone said something about kind of an ideal, would he be interested in working in a horror movie game adaptation, which he immediately went to Dead Space. I'd love to make a Dead Space movie. And then while he's been doing some press stuff recently, he was asked, kind of matter of fact, the Dead Space movie, in kind of a way, will you be directing it? And he went, I think someone else is directing it. They've not asked me, but I'd love to be involved in some way. And a lot of people are taking that as John Carpenter accidentally spilled that there is a Dead Space movie in the works. I don't know if that would be the case, and it's kind of he's just kind of followed a lead, because if he's not involved himself or has been asked. But I would I would like to see a Dead Space film. I don't know whether I'd like to see John Carpenter do it, because he's kind of happy doing scores and stuff and touring and music and stuff. He doesn't need to get back into directing if he doesn't want to.
To be fair, there's a lot of things in Hollywood that will have directors attached to them and are nowhere near as close to happening as that quote makes it sound. It's like they may have, that could be they've had a cup of coffee with a guy or a potential director, and asked if it's something they might potentially be interested in. It may well be nothing more than that. So don't get too excited would be my advice.
I have a general
It's good to know that he is a massive fan of Dead Space, though.
Yes. Yeah, that's quite
absolutely.
Cool. But you can see that appealing to him through, the similarities with The Thing. Obviously, that was Dead Space was kind of influenced by a lot of his work before, and so you can see that appealing to him as a director anyway, sort of thing. Yeah, just as a general prediction.
Part of The Thing, part Event Horizon.
I've been thinking this going forward, and we'll probably speak about this more in future weeks, but The Last of Us being a TV series that's come out, and that's been very successful. And I think with the Mario movie coming up, I think we're going to enter an age of video game properties taking over from comic properties as the hot thing in Hollywood, basically. I think we're about to enter an age where comic book movies will go into a slight decline and video game properties will take over going forward, basically. And I think this is the start of it.
I want more info on the God of War TV show.
More info on what?
The God of War TV show that they're working. I think that's Amazon. I know Far Cry's Amazon. Hello. He's got a Kratos t-shirt on.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a whimsical sitcom set in times of Norse mythology.
It's gonna have canned laughter.
Is his catchphrase.
Oh,
yeah,
exactly. You're looking pretty legless today, and pretty torso-less as well. Okay, then you
2.5 boys.
Yeah, yes, that. Good. Well done, Tim.
2 dwarfs and a boy.
Yep.
Stop it. Nah, yeah.
Yep.
Boy. Yeah. Also, the Fallout TV show, I want to see what that... I know Walton Goggins is in that, and I like him. So let's see how that goes out. That is all the news we have time for this week.
Splendid. I think we have time for one question.
Okay, we can do a question, but don't we do the plugs first? I'm all out of sorts now. You want to do the question first? You want the plugs first? Okay,
Do
fair enough.
the plugs first then. Fine. We'll do the plugs first. You, denizens of the internet, go to tpublic.com/stores/BRB. Buy some fine merch. Some of it has my face on it, as I always say every week. We really should expand our repertoire and have things with Tim's face on it and Coleman's face on it.
Sales have actually plummeted since we've been advertising your face quite so much, Dan. I hate to tell you, but you know.
Look, you're the one who took the executive decision to have my face on stuff. I cannot be blamed for the eye bleach.
I still need to buy your face on a mug. I have it on a t-shirt. But yeah.
Mug on a mug.
Yep.
Mug on a
Mug on a
mug.
mug.
Mug on a mug.
Mug on a mug. So tpublic.com/stores/BRB. There's shirts, there's stickers, there's hats, there's mugs. There's all kinds of other stuff. Not just teas.
Not just teas.
He wouldn't do that to you. Loads of stuff.
He wouldn't tease
tpublic.com/stores/BRB. Tuesday.
Tuesday is indeed a
Tim.
Tuesday.
Right there, Tim.
And each and every Tuesday,
we catch you reading the paper.
Called the Table.
What's that? What, we're doing a podcast?
Oh, all right.
Really? What, we've been doing it for an hour?
Yeah.
No.
Each and every Tuesday,
been talking rubbish about PSVR for 3 hours. What do you mean?
Each and every Tuesday, we do an event called Tabletop Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. What is Tabletop Tuesday, I hear you ask? It is an event where you can come along, play a tabletop game, and possibly win it just by playing it that very evening when we do a prize draw at the end of the evening for anyone that has joined in and played the game that evening. This week is a little game called Kotal. I'm hopefully pronouncing that correctly. Coatl.
I've no idea. Didn't put it on the agenda, mate.
Well, there you go. But yeah, it's looks like a fun game. Could be a good one. Kind of Mexican themed sort of thing. But yeah, or South American at least. But yeah, looks like a fun game. Come along and play. There are more. Well, will hopefully be more details on the top left-hand corner of Big Red Barrel and on meetup.com. You can join over our 2,000 members. Search for Tabletop Tuesdays on meetup.com. Just for the record, I didn't make it to Tabletop Tuesday this week. I've been absolutely slammed at work. I will be working this weekend. Hopefully not both days this weekend. But I'll hopefully get time to put that up. I've been a bit lax with that of late. I am very sorry. I've just been ill before Christmas and then stupidly busy either side of being ill. It's still a fun event. We managed to do an event without me last week. So thank you very much to David and Elena who jumped in and hosted that last week. We did a Keyforge event, and Kotal will be our game of the week this week, so come along and join us for that.
My favourite Star Wars game.
Star Wars game.
Very good.
Not my favourite. Good. Tabletop Tuesday over at Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. On a Tuesday, funnily enough.
Yes.
Be there or not be there.
Yes. Be there and be square.
If you have enjoyed this show, then thank you very much for listening. Please make sure to go and leave us a review on whatever podcast service you are using to download this podcast or stream this podcast. I'm sure there's a review format somewhere and it will get back to us in the ways through the internet that we can get it. If you'd like to get in contact with us, we have a website called bigredbarrel.com, funnily enough. There is a comment section there. There is a link to our Discord. We have a Facebook and a Twitter at Big Red Barrel. We have a YouTube, Big Red Barrel TV. And of course, all the links will be available to all our social media platforms and ways to contact us in the show notes of this here episode. Just have a look. If you're on your phone right now, scroll down, have a look. Links. It's all there. It's cool.
What?
Yeah. While you're there, if you want to get in contact with us, not only can you give us game recommendations, tell us what we should be looking at, maybe point out a glaring mistake that we may have made that we can look at in the future.
Fun fact, I made a mistake earlier in this show. I invite you to tell me what the mistake is.
I will find out when I'm editing, I'm sure.
Yes, you will. What?
Nothing?
Turning up. Wow, what a dig.
I mean,
Tim's a saucy B word. Kitty's got claws and she likes to scratch. Anyway, the other thing you can do is you can ask us questions by saying, I have a question. Much like, let's... can we do both from Spiky Chris?
Yeah, I think we should. I can...
All right, then. Go on, then.
Okay, this one's for Tim. He says, I have a question, and it's football themed just for Tim. With the recent Spurs fan...
I'm just going to slip into a coma.
Yeah, you can.
With the recent Spurs fan kicking the Arsenal goalkeeper, what is a worse punishment? A lifetime ban, or the opposite, and said fan is forced to attend every Spurs game until he dies?
I often say to other people...
So hang on. Whoa. So a fan
ran onto the pitch after we lost and kicked their goalkeeper. Yes. Which, to be fair...
Where did he kick the goalkeeper?
I don't know. I assume I actually missed it because I turned it off.
Why don't you know
these
facts? This is essential to the story. I need rights.
But
if he was...
2-0, by the way.
Yes.
So if there's a Spurs fan disappointed with the result, why did he go and kick the Arsenal goalkeeper? Surely if he was disappointed with the result, the thing to do would be to kick the Spurs goalkeeper.
Yeah, but fans don't do that, Dan. They don't think logically. They just run on, and he's a diehard Spurs fan that's now going to get a lifetime ban from the stadium. There is a running joke that's been sent round by Arsenal fans all this week that the fan, they're going to investigate and ban the fan for life. And so far, 2,137 fans have come forward, basically. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's stupid. I don't know why anyone does it. It's possibly the only Spurs kicking that actually went well in the whole match. It was one of the most abject performances I've seen in a North London derby. It was very poor. Spurs fans are very, very not happy this week and weren't entirely happy going into this game anyway. But yeah, to have an abject performance, not good. I often, to answer his question a bit more, I often say to people I'm a Spurs fan for my sins when talking about who I support as a football fan. Spurs seem to find a new and interesting way of disappointing all their fans on a yearly basis. So as much as I was disappointed to the result, I'm not really surprised. And as you say, being actually forced to watch every Spurs game may be more of a punishment than being banned. But yeah.
Let's take a moment to think of the poor goalkeeper who's probably sat at home right now and suddenly springing to life and gone, he did kick me in the arse.
I'll tell you what, I bet you're being paid I bet you being paid tens of £1,000s a week makes it slightly flipping better.
Okay. Also, having
not to be beaten up though,
probably doesn't care. Yeah, no excuse for physical violence. Or the only violence I've ever seen at a football match was an Arsenal fan beating up. Well, two Arsenal fans beating up another Arsenal fan. But there you go.
Yeah. You're listening to Hooligan Chat on the Red Barrel Network. Yeah, it's good. It took the pressure off of Portsmouth when they played Tottenham, and one of the players had a hissy fit and kicked the ball at the ref. So that's good. Takes the heat off of us. Also, Spiky Chris, he says, I have a question.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What two mechanics from different video games would you want combined into a single game? Mine would be a sequel to Infamous 1/2, in brackets, Second Son doesn't exist.
Oh.
I love Second Son. Combined with the Nemesis system from Shadow of Mordor /War.
Mordor War. I like calling Mordor War.
Mordor War
is better than Mordor/War. Mordor War.
Piggybacking on the back of that, I would like also the Nemesis system mixed with the Batman Arkham games, which, if you look into it, was a game that meant to exist from from Warner Brothers Montreal that got cancelled so they could make Gotham Knights.
Oh dear,
how stupid
we set them off again. Mine also. I'm going to piggyback off not only what Coleman said, but the previous question that you asked by Chris.
Ooh.
I would like to see the Nemesis system be integrated into FIFA.
That would actually be quite good. That would
there's a risk of disgruntled fans pitch invading and kicking the living whatnot out.
I would like to see the Nemesis system in Animal Crossing, please.
The fan from the Arsenal game, he turns up against against Liverpool, and then he's just like, "I remember you, goalkeeper." he's got an eye patch on or something to show the damage.
He's got a cast on his foot after he broke his toe from kicking him in the bum. So
Reminds me that I would really like to see a return of Infamous as well, but hey.
Tim, did you have an answer?
What was your mechanic, Tim? Your mechanic game smash up that you like to see?
Should we just keep adding a Nemesis system into things, though? I like this tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah?
What else would it be funny in?
Nemesis in Tetris.
Yeah, I was about to say Tetris.
Work that out.
Yeah. How does that work?
What?
Damn
the
you.
blocks come back.
Odd shaped block thing.
Revenge on their mind.
Yep.
I mean, the blocks keep recycling round, so maybe that is the Nemesis system in its purest form.
True. Right.
Yeah, okay.
I think we've probably talked enough this week. Keep the questions coming. Go to our Discord. There's a link to it in the show notes, probably on the front page of BRB, which you should go to as well, www.bigredbarrel.com, facebook.com/bigredbarrel, twitter.com/bigredbarrel, and YouTube, Big Red Barrel TV.
Yeah.
For reasons.
Licensing.
So anyway, we're done for this week. And we're going to be back next week, I hope. All things being well. Yeah. And, thank you for listening to us. And I hope you drop by again whenever the fancy takes you, you bounders and cads. And, all it really is left for me to say is that I have been Dan.
He might have been Tim.
Well done.
I don't know about you, but kicking a goalkeeper sounds pretty chaotic to me.
Oh, right. Thanks, Chaos.
You're welcome.
It's been your weekly Chaos update.
Which is not very chaotic. I still maintain it. If you're chaos every single week, I would argue that is not chaos. No. That is entropic, which is the opposite of chaotic.
What would you class as chaotic?
Or is it no? Chaos, it could be a form of entropy. Actually, someone's going to correct me on that.
Sorry, a form of what?
Because actually, chaos is the complete absence of structure.
Yes.
Which is entropy, essentially. It's everything reaches entropy. All right, I've given myself brain cramp. I'm going to go now. Thanks for listening. Doodle-bye. Doodle-bye. Doodle-bye.
Chaos! 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 Chaos!
That shit look.
You and your ears are quite welcome.
For the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
to BigRedBarrel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet. BigRedBarrel.com.
How will I ever get over this?
I mean, we have a soundboard. We just don't have any of our sounds. We have we have a screaming goat that Dan's kindly provided, but all the sounds are being replaced with stock sounds. So